Hello everyone, hi, how are you guys doing today? Welcome back to another episode reaction to Buffy, the Vampire Slayer. This is right, my name is Fat. Hello. Buffy Season 7, we just started last episode. What happened? We're going back to the high school. We're going back to the very beginning. It felt like a very rewarding episode for somebody who has committed a lot of time into watching every single episode of the show. So that was very nice. I really enjoyed that. But yeah, we went back to the high school. Buffy got a job as not a counselor, but something like it. She just works at the school as like the cool girl that like students maybe feel somewhat comfortable around. I don't know if that's gonna work, but at least she is gonna be around in order to keep taking care of Dawn, as well as Dawn's new friends. Dawn is growing up. She's just making her own story. She made two new friends on her first day of high school. She made friends with Kit. I think that was her name, the emo girl. You know, one of the types of misfits that we have. And then a guy named Carlos, who just didn't go to class because he went to smoke in the basement, but he's also a huge coward. So that's also cool. That's another type of misfit, you know, the guy who wants to be bad. And he's just kind of an outcast, but like ultimately he's just a normal guy. Sander, I believe, is working at the school in construction, right? Like he's working developing the school because he hasn't been fully finished yet. At least that's what I believe. And Willow is in England with Giles on some kind of retirement. Not retirement, but like she's on like some kind of like witch self-discovery journey, because after the bullshit that she went through at the end of season 6, the stuff that she did basically, and apparently she has a bunch of magic stored inside of her now, and we have to take care of that. And by take care of that, I mean we have to train Willow so that she doesn't end the world someday. We have to make sure that she's just a stable human person and also a witch that can keep control of herself. So that's kind of what she's been doing. And Spike is living in the basement of the school, who once again we have to establish is the gates of hell. It's the hell mouth. That's where it is. That's where it physically is located. And Spike lives there now, and he's turning into Golem because I believe maybe Satan whispers into his ear or something. I don't know what's going on. Because something we saw at the end of the previous episode is that Spike was interfacing with some entity we saw at the end that took the face of Warren, Glory, Adam, the mayor, Drusilla, the master, and then Buffy herself. And the whole time it was taunting him, but also laying some ominous lines about what is to come and what Buffy may not expect. And it said something like, we're going all the way back to the very beginning, whatever that may mean. But I get the feeling of it because we're at the high school, and that's very cool. And it's something that I'm wondering is, I mentioned this briefly, but because when it was wearing every single one of those faces that we saw, I am wondering if it was also like, not just wearing their faces, but like wearing their souls, kind of like their essence, because it was speaking as if it was every single one of them, you know, like when it was Adam, it was like calculation started with 2 parameters, something like that. And when it was talking as the mayor, it started talking in this like very friendly, like white guy kind of like traditional vibe, which is what the mayor was, and that's the way it was talking about whenever it was every single one of them. So that makes me wonder if it's pretending to be them or if it's actually is wearing their essence in some way, because every single one of those people is dead. I mean, Drusilla isn't dead, but the person that Drusilla was is dead. So I don't know if that counts. And at the end, it was wearing Buffy's face, but Buffy did die. That's why Faith happened, because Buffy did die at one point. She just didn't last dead for long. And I suppose if we're going in backwards order, then I suppose Buffy died before the Master did. But also, whenever we showed Buffy's face, it made me think of like the movie, which it's not the same actress, but I don't know, maybe. Yeah, that's all I got. I don't really know what we're doing. I just have to keep watching. But I'm very excited. Season 7 is starting strong because I feel very at home watching this. Okay. Once again, check out the Patreon, link in the description below, pop up on the screen. You can support the channel, and you can watch early episodes. You can watch the next 2 episodes already, as well as full-length reactions. We did that one for free previous episode, but from now on, you're going to have to go to Patreon for it. So if you're interested in that, check that out. Okay, let us begin. Buffy the Vampire Slayer, Season 7, Episode 2. Let's go. Okay, we're in Germany now.
From beneath you, it devours.
Buffy!
I heard screaming.
That was you. It was just a dream, right?
If it was just a dream, why did it have subtitles that told me where it was located?
There's more like her done. Out there, somewhere. And they're gonna die.
Okay, we're getting prophetic visions now. Or oracular visions of far distant places. Okay, the floor is opening. The entire city just like rips in half. Is it ripping in half? Or is it like a giant worm? Could be either. I do like how we see one German girl and she looks cool as hell. Not like every other American character we see in the show. Everybody's just fucking square and traditional and just basic bitch ass hairstyles and in clothing and shit. But when you go to Europe, that's when the real cool people show up, you know, because they're a lot more free in there. Like they used to do that a lot in like movies. It's something I notice. It's like you go to Europe and you have to show that there are a lot of very like goth alt people with extravagant hairstyles and clothing.
No. Making them understand is a totally different matter.
Is the entirety of this season just gonna be Spike just talking to mice, being Gollum?
All of it lost on them.
Okay. The rumbling continues.
Not the time. Not hardly ready. Stop! Please stop!
Could you die? You understand you cannot talk to me, look at me, or hang out with any of my friends, right?
I doubt we'll even see each other, assuming I even half understand my fuzzy job description.
It's not fuzzy. You're what? Dealing with troubled kids?
Those kids are damn lucky having a slayer and a friend on campus there for them. I hope they appreciate it. I know I did.
Aw, very wholesome.
I thought you hated Sunnydale.
Yes and no. At least then I was dating. I don't know what's not clicking for me right now.
Well, there's that thing with Anya. It's not something you just bounce right back from.
You guys really need to ease up with the whole dating demons thing.
Hello, I'm sorry. Wasn't that you having the smoochathon with Teen Vampire last Halloween?
That was one night.
Some students will be sent to you, and others, I'm hoping, will start to come in on their own. I think the students are going to want to come in and talk to you, and when they do, just listen. They need to feel like there's someone around here who actually understands them.
Can I give detention?
Okay, by me, a little authority can be a wonderful thing. Just remember that while you are here to help, you're not here to be their friend. You open that door and these students will eat you alive.
You heard about Principal Flutie, right?
Okay, then.
It took me a second, but I remembered eventually what happened to Principal Flutie.
I'll be in my office if you need me.
Thanks. I'm just gonna have a look around. Make sure it's all school-like.
Okay. Are we immediately going to the basement to see what the fuck is going on with the Spike situation? Oh, we're just jumping all over the place. Meanwhile, on Willow.
The taxi's here.
I know. Giles, I'm not done here. I don't want to go back home just so I can screw up again.
Well, it seems like hell's about to break loose, so you have to go back.
What exactly are you afraid of?
Well, for starters, how about the Hellmouths getting all rumbly again? And what if...
They won't take you back.
Okay.
Willow, we could spend another 2 years here training and practicing and learning to hone your powers, and still there'd be no way of knowing for sure that the friends you left behind you are still your friends. I'd love to offer you some guarantee that you'll be welcome back to Sunnydale with open arms, but I can't. You may not be wanted, but you will be needed.
All you got?
For the moment, yes.
I mean, the only way you're gonna get an answer is if you just go, so.
Trust yourself, and the others might follow.
I love Dad Giles, which is half of what Giles is, but it's the best.
Come on.
Okay, who's gonna die? The woman or Rocky? Rocky. He's just gonna... Goodbye, Rocky. Just let go of it! Let go of it! Oh boy.
Hello?
And whatever it was big. You hear things in this town, but nobody actually believes them. You know, you'd have to be crazy. And
We've seen things too, Nancy.
It's your lucky night, considering, your dog just got all ate up and stuff.
Don't make jokes
Hey,
about
can I
that,
freshen
man.
up your tea?
no, that's okay.
So you say this thing just...
His fucking face. Like, god damn it, why did I say that?
From beneath you, it devours.
Should we round up the gang?
Good thinking, except this is the game.
Yeah.
Look, Nancy, we're gonna get into this. And I promise you, if your dog is alive, we're gonna...
That dog's gone.
The only thing that I need is a
Maybe the
little...
dog is a monster. Oh.
Fortunately, you've got me.
Hi.
Who's that? It's Buffy's.
X.
You've changed. New clothing, better hair. Not so much with the crazy. I like it. Now, what do you want?
Quick. We need to talk. For a start, last you saw me, I was a mess. Out of my head. Admitted.
Okay.
Last week, living in the school basement. Well, you saw me.
You did?
Guys, just a second, okay? Yes, I saw Spike. We can discuss this later.
Sure.
Now, in fairness to Buffy...
Shut up, Spike.
Okay, guys.
Everybody, this poor woman is like, The fair thing about Dawn and Xander is that last season Buffy was a little cray-cray in this specific regard, so.
By saying you're sorry.
I didn't come here to atone. You're the Slayer, connected to the visions, right?
Okay, we're doing the
Just a
visions
guy
thing
with
now.
his ear to the ground, but even I can feel it. Something's coming, and it's so big, ugly, and damned, it makes you and me look like little bitty puzzle pieces.
Interesting insight,
Well, if
but
I'm wrong,
fair.
say so.
Everything about you is wrong, Spike. Since when did you become the champion of the people?
I didn't. I'm just a guy who can lend a hand if you let me.
This yes, this is a different Spike you're talking to. It sounds so different from before.
Okay, we're gonna split. Whatever this creature is, it's burrowing through solid ground. That means a strength and power that we don't usually deal with, but we may have to get used to.
This poor woman is sitting here like, what are we doing?
Is your girlfriend always this commanding?
Oh, no. See, but she's not my girlfriend.
Xander? Little Jewel?
Spike and I will check out the scene.
Okay.
Okay.
Is Nancy a character we're gonna have to keep in mind
Spike.
moving forward?
He tried to rape you.
And he failed. I know I can take him. Xander, take Nancy home. Spike and I will patrol.
Okay.
Yeah, then.
Spike? You sleep, right?
Yeah. What's your point?
Like murdering
If you
yourself.
hurt my sister at all, touch her, you're gonna wake up on fire.
I like that. That's good.
And when exactly did your sister get unbelievably scary? Think this here's our spot?
How'd you guess?
Everybody's baffled by this version of Spike. I still have things to say about this version of Spike. I guess I'm gonna say them after the episode's over, but like.
So what happened to you?
You saw me. Those ghostly types in the school basement got in my head.
Okay.
Flat out, bug shagging crazy. Made me see things, do things. And how come you never told anyone you saw me?
I don't know. I was partly hoping you were some kind of mirage.
Sorry to disappoint. Hold the torch, will you?
Sometimes I forget he's British, and then he says torch. Right. Okay.
Look, this
This
us
is
working
fair.
Together. It's not a way for us to get back together if that's what you want.
It's not. Look, I can't blame you for being all skittish.
Skittish? You tried to rape me. I don't have words.
Neither do I. I can't say sorry. Can't use forgive me. All I can say is, Buffy, I've changed.
I believe you. I just don't know what you've changed into.
Fair.
I don't know what your game is, Spike, but I know there's something you're not telling me.
You're right. There is. But we're not best friends anymore, so too bad for me. I'm not sharing.
Interesting.
We've been through things. I can be useful, because honestly, I've got nothing better to do. Make use of me if you want. And there's nothing here.
Okay. This relationship it was crazy before, it continues to be crazy now.
I still can't believe that all of this is happening. I mean, even with this town's reputation.
What's your name, Nancy?
You know, unexplained weirdness.
Sunnydale, come for the food, stay for the dismemberment.
There's good food? Well, thanks. You think I might instead give you a call sometime?
Just to check in?
No, actually, I'm hitting on you.
Yeah, we're fully moving. But,
I'm really pushy, so that...
ma'am, your dog died tonight. Is this some kind of trauma bonding situation?
Nancy.
What I'm worried is that she's gonna die in 5 seconds. I think the demon is the dog. The dog could transform into a giant huge demon or something. Oh! It was a worm! It was a giant worm! Well, one of the many things I said was true.
You okay? Are you injured? Are you hurt?
I don't think so. I just...
I've never seen CG like that before.
Two attacks in the same night. I'm starting to think it's not coincidence.
Sure. Why not? A monster trying to kill me. Ugh, Ronnie would love this, boy.
Right. Who's Ronnie?
Only my psycho ex-boyfriend that I've been trying to get rid of for the past few weeks. He was an abusive bastard, is the catchy headline. You know the feeling that you get when your ex is constantly ruining every part of your life, and it just doesn't stop? And you get so tired of feeling helpless that all you can do is just wish that it would stop.
Wish?
And it's not the fact that he cheated. I mean, we could have talked. He's spineless. You know, he should just be spineless, for real. No spine. Got it, I can do that.
Oh, that sounds awful.
Is this the one you talked to? Right. Did you turn this nice lady's ex into a giant worm monster?
Oh, turn him into it.
Yes.
You wished your ex was a worm?
We were just talking.
It could just be a tiny worm.
It's a way of making things happen.
Anya, that thing you created burst through solid pavement and ate her dog.
And tried to kill her also.
Oh, puppy.
Wait, people's lives are in danger and you give it up for the Yorkie?
You never understood me, Xander. Xander, who is this woman?
Anya, my ex.
Hey, nobody's bragging here. Hey, the merchandise?
Spike, you don't get to go there again. I thought you were Xander's ex-girlfriend.
I am.
But you and Spike had a thing.
Didn't last.
But weren't you Buffy?
Briefly.
Never
It's
Is anyone here that
don't.
hasn't slept together?
Look,
It's a mess. Don't worry about it.
Anya, this is Ronnie. Okay, he wasn't a worm. This thing was like...
Slug off, demon. Am I right?
Same phylum. It's not cheating. I just embellish.
Well, you can unembellish now.
Bite me, Harris. I have rules to work with that you'll never understand because you're all still so human.
I'm not. Now, you're gonna turn the spell around like a good little vengeance demon, or what?
Oh my god.
What are you staring at?
You have a soul.
Oh my god.
She can
Right,
tell.
let's go.
She can
How
tell.
did you do it?
Spike, what is she talking
She
about?
can tell.
I can see you.
Nothing. Let's go.
How did you do it?
Shut up!
Well, dude,
I am so gonna kick your ass.
You haven't changed, Spike.
is this just gonna turn into everybody just kicking the shit out of Spike tonight?
Hey, I guess this would be first contact since you know when.
Oh my god,
For another
dude.
round of the... Right, you are, love. I haven't changed. Not a lick.
Buffy! Nancy. She's gone, and out there all alone, she's worm bait.
I'll go find her. You stay with Anya. Get her to reverse that spell.
Hey, is that it? Little touchy feeling and off to the back holes?
Freaks. I don't really surround myself. Freaks.
I love how I'm thinking to myself, at the end of the episode, I'm gonna have stuff to talk about, and then it immediately becomes more complicated than the stuff I wanted to say, and then I'm immediately having a headache already. That's just every episode where Spike shows up, which is every episode. We're gonna have to do some superhero jumping, Buffy.
What do you want me to do? I'm in enough trouble as it is. Hoffreck's all over my case. De Hoffren is not pleased with my work.
Nice friends you got.
Nice friends I had. I had the whole package until something fell apart. What could that be, Xander?
You saying this was my fault?
All I'm saying is none of this happened until you dumped me at the altar.
And sooner or later, Anya, that excuse just stops working.
This one's about to die, and these two are just arguing over their own personal issues.
You've had your turn, man. Leave the real violence to the demons, yeah? Sorry. Wrong maneuver. Not hardly helpful. God, please help me.
Help me!
You're not the one who needs help.
Too much, too much, too much, too much.
Yeah, I need an ambulance.
much.
Someone's been stabbed. Look, Spike, whatever you're doing, do it somewhere else. I am through with this.
Oh, lucky goal. Call it quits. Now there's an option. If only it was so easy. If only...
What the hell are you screaming about? I can hear you. No need to shout!
Man's crazy.
I get it. Joke's on me. Hey, bring the wife and kiddies. Come see the show. This, just the beginning, love. All this will come tumbling in death and screaming from beneath you. It devours. Poor Rocky.
He didn't know the dog's name, but now he knew it. He tapped into something else there.
You. What are you?
She's not calling me.
Okay. Help is on the way. Look after him.
Where are you going?
After whatever the fuck Spike said.
You do know you did the right thing here. I know this is bad, but it could be worse.
Oh, it will be.
Yeah, ominous.
Didn't work.
What the hell are you?
Didn't work. Costume. Couldn't hide.
No more mind games, Spike.
No more mind games. No more mind.
Tell me what happened to you.
Hey, no touching. Am I flesh to you? Feed on flesh. Nothing else, not a spark. Okay, fine. Flesh then. Get it hard, service to go.
Stop it!
Yeah.
Right. Girl doesn't want to be serviced because there's no spark. Ain't we in a sodden engine?
Spike, have you completely lost your mind?
Yes!
Well, yes. Where have you been all night?
I thought you would just come back here and be you with me?
First time for everything.
This is all you get. Tell me what happened.
I tried to find it, of course.
Find what?
The spark. The piece that would make me fit. Because you didn't want... I can't. Not with you looking.
He's not gonna say it. Well.
I dreamed of killing you. I think they were dreams. So weak. Thinking of you. Holding myself and spilling useless buckets of salt over your ending. Angel, he should have warned me. Makes a good show, forget it, but it's here. In me.
She pierces together, I can see it.
The spark. I wanted to give you what you deserve, and I got it. They put the spark in me, and now all it does is burn.
Your soul.
Bit worse for lack of use.
You got your soul back.
It's what you wanted, right? It's what you wanted, right? And now everybody's in here talking everything I did, everyone I... and him, and it, the other, everybody. They all just tell me go to hell.
Why would you
That's
do
a shame on you. What does a man do that he mustn't? For her to be hers, to be the kind of man who would never... to be the kind of man...
I will say this
And she shall look on
performance
him with
is
forgiveness,
fantastic.
and everybody will forgive and love. He will be loved.
Her performance also. Her
So
face
everything's
is...
okay, right? Can we rest now? Buffy, can we rest?
Jesus fucking Christ. That's fascinating. That's crazy. Okay. It's funny how, like, when I watched Seeing Red, a big part of me was like, I don't want to talk about Spike anymore. I'm fucking done with this guy. And part of me continued to feel that way for a while. And when I think back to Seeing Red, I still feel that way. Because fuck that episode. But if I forget about Seeing Red, which the show doesn't want me to forget because it's very real. And it's very important. But if I'm not thinking about that specific scene that made me want to kill myself, and instead I focus on what came afterwards, which is this. It's mostly this. Because, like, we haven't gotten much Spike until this moment in order to be able to talk about Spike. Because I recorded like 6.5 hours of like talking about season 6 of Buffy. In case you haven't watched it, it's like 4 videos I made. Every time the topic of conversation of Spike came up, I was like, I don't know what to say because like the craziest shit in the world happened, which I hated with every fiber of my being, and then Spike just left. And that's all I got. I didn't really have anywhere to go with. So there wasn't much I could say other than I just hated it. But now that we're here, I actually do have stuff to say about Spike. And I will say, James Masters' performance is winning me over, and it's making me be like, okay, I actually don't hate talking about Spike in this moment just because this is pretty good. So we actually got confirmation as to what Spike did, anything that he did, and we got to see what actually occurred as a consequence of that. And it's not anything that would be impossible to guess. Pretty sure I on some level guessed it, but seeing it is a different thing to just guessing it, to just like picturing the possibility versus just seeing James Masters' performance. So, okay, the reason why Spike went to get his soul back was because Spike hated being the soulless demon that tried to rape Buffy. He himself in that moment felt so... I mean, I don't want to say it was necessarily that he felt disgusted with himself as much as it was... I mean, that could be true. I'm not going to say that's not because we don't have a direct confirmation of that or not. But what we do know is that he wanted to become something else that would be accepted by Buffy. I mean, maybe we can attribute this to Spike being a demon that didn't have a soul, so that he didn't fully realize that it wouldn't work. Or maybe he realized that maybe it probably wasn't going to work, but he still wanted to go for a Hail Mary, because what else is he going to do? He's that obsessed and desperate. And he decides, I'm going to get my soul back. Which, like, it doesn't solve the problem, but I can see how he would assume it would solve the problem, and he would go for it if he's desperate, which he was. And the only reason why he's desperate is because he's obsessed. So he went to get his soul back specifically because he wanted to be accepted by Buffy, which is an extreme thing to do. And now we see the consequences of it. What was interesting is that in this episode, for like a big chunk of it, he was normal, but very different from the way he used to be. And that made me go like, oh, I have a lot to say on this. And then it went crazy, which made me have more stuff to say on it, because it seems like what actually happened, because he says in the final scene, is that he's holding onto like the blue like shirt that he was wearing, and he was like, costume didn't work. So that was a performance that he was putting on. It was a mask. It was one of the many masks that people tend to wear, and it was one that Spike was wearing in that moment because he wanted to be more accepted, which is interesting because that is a very human desire. That is a very human thing to do. People do that all the time. Just, yeah, I'm gonna dress differently. I'm gonna act differently. Just minor things, just enough for people to look at you and to accept you. Because that is something that Spike is still holding on to. The possibility that he could be liked. Because that was the whole reason why he did anything that he did anyway. That also does mean that he was still being on some level a liar and manipulative, because Buffy was like, this is not gonna work. Like, you're hiding something from me, and you like this whole thing that you're doing, fuck it, it's not happening. And Spike is like, I'm not doing anything. I'm just have nothing better to do. And it's like, what's interesting is that the reason why it's so different from Spike in the past is that Spike in the past would put up a performance that he is a bad guy, when in reality he's becoming more human, but he still has some bad guy tendencies. In this version, he has a soul, so he feels bad for things that he does. However, oh my god, like there's like 3 different layers of things I want to say, and my brain is having a hard time focusing on it. But he's lying, pretending to be a cool, wholesome guy who's just here to help, because he's being selfless and he has nothing better to do, and he's just chill. And he's like, you know, if you don't need my help, I'll just walk out, and that's just gonna be it. And it seems like he was willing to commit to that. So, but that is an act. He has a soul, but him being chill and helpful and selfless is the act. The real version of himself is a broken man. And a broken man does not necessarily mean good or bad. It just means a broken man. And that is what we see. The reason why he starts punching Anya and then throwing hands with Buffy, and he starts saying all the shit that he says, is because in that moment, Anya was zeroing on the reality of him getting his soul back. And that's something he didn't want to share with anybody. That is not something he felt comfortable sharing with no one. That is an invasion of privacy to divulge that information. And as a response to that, he just starts punching people and screaming, which it's a bad thing to do. It's a very bad thing to do. But I almost see it like a child, because something he says, a weird line that I don't remember the line specifically, but in the final scene when he's talking about Buffy in like that building, was it a church? But in that building, he said like, yeah, he has a soul bag, but he's like, it doesn't work well. Like he's not handling it well because of lack of use, something like that. So I'm almost looking at his reactions as like a child, because it's like, it looks to me like a child reaction, like a childish reaction of you're 5 years old and somebody's like, oh, you did that. Oh, and they're like sharing a secret of yours. And a childish reaction would be totally like, no, shut up, and just start doing that and just swinging and screaming, which is what he's doing. Obviously, that's not a cool thing to do. And obviously, Spike has been alive for like, I don't know, 150 years or whatever the fuck. I'm not keeping track of the numbers. They don't matter to me. But the way I look at it, that reaction to me seem not normal. And here's the thing about Spike is that I don't blame anyone for not wanting to give this dude the benefit of the doubt. I don't blame anyone for it. If you're watching this episode or this show in general, or in you seeing anything that Spike is doing, and your reaction to that is to be like, fuck this dude, I hate him, I don't blame you for it. That's completely fair. I get it. I get it. I feel like any possibility of having a benefit of the doubt for this dude went out the window in Seeing Red. After you watch Seeing Red, you're either committing yourself to wanting to like try to figure out what is going on with this character, or the emotional part of your brain takes over and you go like, fuck no, fuck this dude, I hate him. And that's fine. I have nothing to say to that. Wherever you may fall on that like theoretical binary of choice, which is probably a broader spectrum, but in this theoretical binary that I'm laying down here, wherever you may fall, like that's fine. God bless. Just like, but the thing is that I'm watching this and I'm like, the show is so interested in exploring Spike now. And it's something that before it felt like it was doing, and then it felt like it really hated it, and then it felt like it was going back to it, and then it felt like it really hated it, and now it feels like we're going back to it. So it's crazy to me. Because like every time we're doing Spike time, I'm sitting here and I'm like, I don't know how to approach this situation. But based on what I'm watching now, it seems like what we're doing with Spike is that Spike is feeling the intense weight of the sins that he's committed that Angel felt when he got his soul back originally, but now he's experiencing all of it immediately, like right now. Because like Angel, by the time that we meet Angel, it's like 1996, and that's like, I don't fucking know, that's like 100 years after he regained his soul or something like that, you know? Like, I don't remember when it was, but it was a while back. Like, he had been living with a soul and feeling the intense guilt of the deeds that he had done for decades at that point. But for Spike, it's all happening right now. It happened in the past like half a year. So to him, it's still all brand new. So he still hasn't like coped with it. And we can see that even in Angel, if we're going to use Angel as a comparison, because we kind of have to, because that is the only comparison we have, I guess maybe Darla a little bit. Darla was human, which is different, but kind of similar for a while, before she died like half a year later. God, it started like heavily raining now, and I'm really worried it's going to sound bad. Let me get the microphone closer to me. But we have to assume, by comparison, that Spike is having a very hard time dealing with all of the guilt of all of the things that he's done. And also he speaks of like, he can hear the voices of everyone, including him and it, which in my head I am thinking it's referring to either himself, like his human, like William self, and Spike the demon, but it could also be referring to, I don't fucking know, the concept of evil, Satan, whatever. Like, it could be referring to hell. Everyone telling him that he has to go to hell because he has done an innumerable amount of sins. We're getting Christian up in here, by the way. We are. He's burning on a cross, so you know. But hey, vampires are intrinsically like related to that, so make sense. But what's fascinating about this is that you can still see the William and the Spike coming through in this version of the character. And what I mean by that is that, what do we know about William? William was a nerd who really wanted a girl to like him, and she didn't. She thought he was pathetic because so did everybody else. So he was left to the role of like a lovesick individual who could never have any acceptance or recognition or anything. Only mockery and rejection. What do we know about Spike? When he turned into the demon Spike, he started being extremely starved by recognition because that's what William was. So he's immediately of the mind of like, I'm gonna show everyone how much better I am than them. So that's why he's so vicious, is because he deliberately wants to go and prove himself to be better than everyone else by killing them all. So immediately he is thinking, I have to position myself above them, because in life, everybody kept reminding me that I was below them, so fuck them, I'm gonna show them. Then he also becomes extremely obsessed with the idea of the Slayer, because he needs to prove that he's better than the Slayer, but also because the Slayer is a woman whose entire life mission is to take care of Spike. In a I have to murder him sense because he's a vampire. But the twisted mind of the demon Spike, who used to be William, the guy who was obsessed with a woman that he loved but was unrequited, he's thinking like, oh, it's a woman that's obsessed with me, like in a different twisted way, in a murdery way, but still applies. So it's a woman that's obsessed with me. Oh, I'm going to be obsessed with her as well. So we're going to do this song and dance of like, we're going to murder each other. And it's this thing of like, he's mixing the two things that he in life was a problem for him. And now that he's a vampire, he is also grabbing that and using it in a twisted sense, which is, I have to prove that I am better than this woman who's obsessed with me, and that also gives me the reins to be freely obsessed with her as well. And then I get to show her that I am above her, that I am dominant over her. So I am gonna make my whole life mission to murder Slayers. He does. He murders the first Slayer in China or whatever, and then he immediately has sex over her corpse. Subtext. Then he murders the second Slayer in New York or whatever, and he takes her clothes as a trophy and continues to wear them for the rest of his life until just now, which I am just now realizing that it's like a character growth moment or like change, because he's dumping the trophies that he had been wearing. So that element of his obsession is actually fading. Or maybe it's not so much that it's fading, but it's also just he feels so bad over the fact that he murdered that woman, that second Slayer, that he feels gross wearing it. So he threw them away. That makes sense to me. Okay. Anyway, I got distracted. But now, what I'm saying about this version of Spike is that this version of Spike, what does it do? It comes in this episode, and he goes to Buffy's home, and he's like, hey, I'm here if you need some help. I can tell that something's coming, and I'm here in case you need me for anything. And here's the thing, is that why is he doing that? He's not doing that out of the goodness of his heart. He's not doing that to be a champion. He's not doing that because he's bored. That was a facade that he was putting on. The reason why he's doing that is because he wants Buffy to like him. Because he wants to go back to having some sort of stable relationship with Buffy, in which we can both just kind of share at least a moment with each other. Because he is still the same guy. He is still a lovesick idiot who is desperate for the attention and acceptance and acknowledgement of the woman he has a crush on, which is Buffy Summers. That hasn't changed. And you can argue until we're dead whether or not he actually has a crush on Buffy. I feel like that is something that somebody could deny, but he wouldn't have gone through the effort of wanting to get his soul back if he didn't want Buffy to like him. Which makes this so much more complex. Because, okay, here's something about abusive relationships that I feel like it's a level of nuance that a lot of people don't actually realize. And maybe they don't actually want to acknowledge, because it makes things much more complicated. And the simplicity of looking at an abuser and saying, fuck that abuser, he's an evil, bad person, is so much better. It's so much better to just take that simple outlook, but it's not that easy. And I know of real life examples to back me up on that. Because here's the thing. I believe that Spike genuinely loves Buffy. He's also somebody with tendencies that are god-awful. And I don't know to what degree those are the demon parts or the human parts. And that is an idea that I floated during the Buffy cast, season 6. It was something that I said. It was an idea for like a semi-prediction of like, maybe what we're gonna find out is that Spike with a soul is still just a guy that sucks. You know, like the parts of Spike that made him like a horrible person were not the parts that were demon. It was actually the parts that were human of him. That is something that I thought about, and I was like, this would be very interesting, and I actually would kind of like it. And in this episode, we see him that he has a soul, but he's still like screaming and punching people. And that could just be him being childish because he's new to having a soul again. But it could also just be him being a guy that sucks. You know, he could just be an abusive guy. It doesn't have anything to do with the fact that he's a demon. That's just the guy that William was. Because like, you don't have to be a demon to be a horrible person. Like, in the real world, we don't have demons. We just have bad people. And that could just be who William is. That could just be what Spike with a soul is. So Spike in going and having his soul back doesn't necessarily correlate to him becoming a better person. But here's the thing. He did that because he saw that as a possibility of becoming a better person. Of becoming a person that Buffy could love. He wouldn't put himself through that if he didn't care. So he does care. That's the part that is so complex about this relationship, I think. And I think that maybe is the core of all Spike scores in the fan base, which I don't want to be a part of. But I know that people take sides when it comes to Spike. And I think that might be the core root of the issue here. And is Spike genuine in his emotions towards Buffy? And I think the answer is yes. Does that mean that you should like him or Buffy should like him? No, not necessarily. He can love her, but he can still have so many bad tendencies that means that Buffy shouldn't ever have to put herself in the situation in which she should have to put up with it. That applies to most relationships. Hey, you are hanging out with an abusive guy that wants to be with you. Listen, that guy could be the most in love that anybody could ever be with you. But if he still has a lot of issues that are going to become your issues because you're putting yourself in that situation, guess what? You don't have to put up with it. That guy is not your responsibility if you don't want it to be. So even if his feelings are fully genuine. And this is where I'm thinking, when I'm thinking about Spike, it's like, we know now that the reason why he got his soul back was specifically so Buffy could like him. He took like a drastic measure. He went and did something that he shouldn't have done, that would be awful for him, and it is, and we can see that it is. But the reason why he did that was because he didn't see any way in which Buffy and him could be a thing if he didn't have a soul. Because he saw the reality of who he was, and he attributed that to him not having a soul, and he was like, I need to change this. So he's going 110% on effort on trying to change and trying to be different in order to have a shot with Buffy. But Buffy doesn't have to give him that. Buffy never under any situation has to give him that. And I kind of hope she doesn't. I really hope she does. And I get the impression that she's not gonna, right? Like, just based on what I know of Joss Whedon, I get the impression that she's not gonna. But that doesn't make Spike any less fascinating based on what I saw in this episode. That is a fascinating character to me. It really is. And again, I'm going to say it again because I'm going to keep saying it. A lot of it is just James Masters' performance. It really is just my boy James. He's really coming through. Like, holy fuck, he's putting his heart and soul into these performances. The way he was delivering some of the lines in like that final scene, I think it was when he was like, can we rest now? Like the way his voice is so soft and it sounds like he's like cracking is crazy. I was watching that and my brain was like overloaded. I was like, I don't know what to do with this, but it is hitting. I don't know what to do with this, but it's hitting. It's hitting a certain way. I don't know in which way it's hitting, but it is hitting. And it's because the performance is just breaking my brain right now. And Sarah Michelle Gellar also. Like, I have to give it to Sarah Michelle Gellar in that scene. Because even though she wasn't carrying that scene, it was mostly James Masters. You can see her reaction to James Masters really sold me on it. Really sold me on Buffy. And this is, okay, I'm gonna actually move from Spike talk to Buffy talk now. And this is what I really like, is that in that scene, Buffy actually started crying. And I really like that. Because, okay, I can see how some people could interpret that as like, you know, Buffy cares about Spike and feels, and like actually has feelings for Spike. I don't see it that way. What I do see is Buffy sees the consequences of her actions in season 6 on some level. On some level. Because she sees the drastic things that Spike has done to himself. Because he has. It's like the equivalent of like running into your ex who was abusive. He was a piece of shit. But the relationship wasn't healthy on your end either. And that doesn't take away from any of the bullshit that Spike did. But both things can be true at once. And what I'm seeing in Buffy's face, whenever Spike is saying all of the stuff that he's saying at the end, is that Buffy's crying. And I can tell that she's crying because on some level, she sees herself as responsible for what happened to him. Because on some level, she is. And I personally wouldn't necessarily place the blame on her, but I can see how it's very easy for her to place the blame upon herself. Why? Because, well, the situation in season 6 and the relationship that she had with Spike in season 6 was so weird and complicated, and it was abusive on both ends, that I can see how Buffy sees what she did to him. Even, like, I think a lot of people, whenever we enter this discussion, they would look at one side as the good side and one side as the bad side, and they would take one side over the other. That's not what we're doing here. Buffy and Spike both abused each other on different ways and on different levels, but both did happen because Buffy was using Spike for sexual release, knowing full well that what Spike wanted was something more serious, and she was taking advantage of that deliberately. She knew that, and she was taking advantage of that in order to get some dick, basically, because she wanted to escape from everything that felt so much that she was getting overwhelmed by just going back to the real world and having to deal with all of it and more than she had to before she died. Because, you know, Joyce was looking out for her, but now that she comes back, she has to take care of Dawn, she has to worry about jobs, she has to worry about a lot of shit, and all of her friends are also falling apart. So it's like, it's a lot to deal with. So she is turning to Spike as a way to escape. But in doing so, she's actually using him without wanting to actually engage with him on any meaningful level. But she knew that that is what she was doing, which is not great. She was abusing him, and that doesn't take away from whatever the fuck Spike did later or before, but that did happen. So I look at Buffy's face that she's crying here at the end, and I can see like the way that I read it is like Buffy feels so guilty in that moment because she can identify that the version of Spike that we have now, the Spike with a soul, is a broken person. Is a person who just, like, I don't know, it feels like Spike maybe doesn't have a place to go. Like, almost. But like, he had this moment at the end where he was like, can we go now? And it feels like he's just fully given up. Like, he just wants to rest now. Or what was it that he said? Like, can we rest now? Like he just wants it to stop because he's so overwhelmed by everything that has happened to him and is happening all at once now that he has a soul. And he probably just wants some respite, but he is not afforded that. And something that I'm thinking about is like, he mentioned how he feels like every voice in his head, he can hear all of it, which the way I look at that is he is feeling the weight of guilt finally coming and actually making him realize everything that he did, essentially his conscience, like what happened to Angel. And he's hearing all of it, maybe some deeper entity even, but he's feeling it. And he says that they're all telling him that he should go to hell, which, like, I'm thinking about it and I'm like, Spike, I guess, should go to hell when he dies, which is what happened to Angel as well. Like, that's how we know that, like, the rules of, like, heaven and hell are kind of bullshit in this world too, because, like, Angel went to hell, but that was the soul of Angel that went to hell. But the soul of Angel didn't really do anything bad. He atoned and felt horrible for all of the things that he did that were bad, but he didn't do them. It was the demon that was possessing his body, but that wasn't his soul that did it. But his soul was still punished for it, which is interesting, but that is the precedent that we have. So we have to assume that that is what would happen to Spike as well. If Spike were to die, he would just go to hell. Even if, like, William didn't really do any of those things, he would still be the one to be judged for it. And that is depressing. And it has to be very depressing for him, for this version of Soul Spike that we have. Because what do you do? Like, thinking about it, like, what do you do? If you're in the situation that Spike is in this very moment, you are so overwhelmed by the amount of awful feelings that you have about everything that you have done and yourself that you already felt before, because that is the reason why you wanted to get a soul back, because you didn't want to be that person anymore. You wanted to change in order to be with Buffy, but you wanted to move away from that. Now you're here, and now you get to feel like shit about the person that you were. And on some level, maybe still are, but you get to feel horrible about it. And you still have to deal with Buffy being around you, which is, I keep thinking back to that moment in early season 5 when he fully acknowledges that he's in love with Buffy, where he talks about it and he's like, I can't take it. Like, everywhere I look, Buffy's there. Like I close my eyes and she's there. And it's this thing of, like, his obsession is inescapable, to the point that it drove him insane almost. That cannot be helping right now. And on some level, maybe you feel like I should just die, because if I die, I won't get to feel this way anymore. But that doesn't work, because if he dies, he'll just go to hell and he will just suffer for eternity. So that doesn't help either. That should just be worse. Even if he's not the one to blame for it, or is, I don't know, that is a nebulous concept that we can't really get into it because we're not God in the universe of Buffy, so we don't know how the fuck that works. But it's something that, like, I'm thinking about it and I'm like, I can understand how this person would go insane. And I can understand why at the end he's just like, can I rest now? Because, like, on some level, it feels like he just wants to give up because everything is just so much. But, like, he can't, because if he gives up, he'll just go to hell. And here's the thing too, is that, like, I am not looking at this Spike the same way that I look at Spike before, because they are fundamentally different characters. The same way that Angel and Angelus are different characters, I have to do the same for Spike and the soul version of Spike. I don't know if I should call him William or not, because he's still going by the name of Spike. But hey, the Angel and Angelus are completely different people. Like, it's something that I just accepted. So I have to do the same for Spike now. And if I do that, then it's easier for me to, like, not feel like, oh, this Spike is an asshole and he deserves to be in hell. I'm like, no, this was a person who felt mocked and betrayed and rejected, and then encounters somebody who felt like they were like, hey, I get you, I understand you. And he felt like for once in his life he was acknowledged. And that's how he became a demon. And he wasn't necessarily aware of what he was signing himself up to be. And everything that has happened since then up until this point about Spike is not something that I think I can judge this character for. But this character is definitely judging himself for it. So he feels that guilt. He hates, like, it's an overwhelming feeling that is exhausting. Everything about what he's doing and the what he feels about Buffy is exhausting, and he can't even get the respite of dying so it would stop, because it would just be worse, because he would just go straight to hell. And it's, if I were to be the soul of Spike, like William, I would feel like like I wouldn't want to go to hell because it's like I didn't do those things, but I did, but I didn't, but I did. So you understand that you would go there and you feel like on some level you deserve it, but like I don't want to go there, you know? Like I don't want to just get my soul back and immediately realize that I just want to go to hell and suffer forever. It's like, no, I want to live, you know? Thinking about it that way, I think it makes complete sense for me to look at this version of Spike and to just feel this weird, like, what is the word I'm looking for? I feel like a level of empathy, but I also feel this like pity of like, I don't know what to do with you. I don't know what you could do. And I feel like on some level, Buffy could be feeling that as well. Because like, if Buffy understands and she knows, like I saw it in her face, she recognized it immediately. When Spike mentioned Angel, he should have warned me about it. Buffy just put it together. She immediately knew. I feel like Buffy has to look at him on some level similar to that of like this empathy and pity of like, I don't know what to do about this. Because like, this is just now a deeply tortured soul that has no way out. And has nowhere to belong to, and it's just broken. And like part of the reason why Angel even like, because he was a mess before the show started, like we saw it in a flashback. But part of the reason why Angel is like decent now is because of Buffy. Like Buffy kind of fixed them on some level. Like they had this whole like love thing going on, but Angel was a mess before Buffy. And after Buffy and during Buffy, like seasons 1, 2, and on some level 3, Angel became like a real guy, like an actual person, rather than just like a hobo living on the streets, just feeding off of his guilt. He still did the brooding thing, but you can actually see how he started taking the steps to actually recuperate and become more of a real person that engages with the world. But the person that started that was Buffy. Buffy was the thing that grounded him to reality once more and allowed him to actually have a life now. I don't think that Buffy can do that again, and I don't want her to do that again for Spike. I don't want that, actually. Like, that would just feel weird to me. But then that actually does open up this pit in my stomach where I look at Spike and I'm like, I don't know what to do with you. Because like, if I am to take what I see at face value, and I do, I get to take this broken version of Spike, this broken human being, because he has a soul now. So like, and that's the thing, is that like any version of like you not considering a Spike to be a person, you get to throw that out the window now. Now he's a person, he's real. He's a character, he's a guy, and he has feelings. Now I look at that and I'm like, I can tell that the suffering that this person is going through right now is immense. I can tell that there is no way out of it, and I don't know how to fix it. And that is deeply distressing. And that has to be deeply distressing to Buffy as well. Because, like, sure, like, Buffy could try to hook up with him and try to fix them. I don't think she wants to do that, and I wouldn't want her to do that, because, like, Buffy doesn't feel that way. But Buffy's still a human being with empathy, so she's looking at this broken man in front of her, and she's like, oh my god. Which is the way I was looking at him. I was looking at James Masters' performance, and I was like, oh my god, like, I don't know what to do. And I understand that maybe a lot of people, after watching Seeing Red, and I don't blame you, I said this already, you could look at Spike and you could be like, fuck this guy. Like, I feel nothing. That's fair. But I think I'm someone that I'm actually able to move on past that feeling, and I'm actually able to, like, ground myself. And when I ground myself, I look at Spike and I'm like, oh my god, this is upsetting in how sad it is. And I don't feel sad in like I would cry for this guy. I feel sad in like I don't think anyone deserves this, but I don't know what to do. And I don't think there's anything that could be done. The only thing that could like help Spike is like time. It's like, it's a worse situation than it was for Angel. I understand that you could look at Seeing Red Spike, and you could look at that and say, like, I really enjoy watching this man suffer. I don't blame you for it. But personally, I look at this character and I'm like, that's not the same character. So I don't want them to suffer. And I don't really want to see punishment necessarily being given. I am not that kind of person. I don't necessarily want to see punishment being given. Like, even when Warren fucking died like that, I didn't necessarily delight in it. I was like, well, I don't feel bad about it, but I didn't necessarily want to see it happen either. I was more worried about Willow. That was where my concern was, which is, matching kind of the cast there. But the same goes for Spike. I don't want to see him being punished because I can also understand that this is not the same person. On some level it is, but on a bigger level it isn't to me. So I'm very curious as to where that's going to go. Because again, I mentioned this before, and it's I don't know to what level I can say that the demon Spike was a horrible person, or if the human William is a horrible person. I don't know to what level I can say that one or the other. I don't know. I can't know that. And I'll just know that as we move forward. But even as we move forward, here's the thing, is that here's the secret to understanding life. And it's no one is inherently good or evil. People change all the time. People grow, people go through phases, and there's a big change happening with Spike right now, and I don't know where that's gonna go. I really don't, but I really like it right now because I can feel the pain and complexity, and again, I have to keep saying this because it's true. James Marsters is such a good actor, holy shit. And but I was thinking about this in the downtime because it's raining. So I stopped recording and then I picked recording back up, and I've been doing that for a while now. But I was thinking about it, and I think that the character of Spike, completely different character if it's a different actor. Night and day. If you're the biggest Spike fan in the world, I can see a universe in which you hate Spike if it's played by a different actor. Because I think so much of what Spike is, so much of who Spike is, and how he works, and the parts of Spike that actually do hit, only hit because James Marsters is so good at what he does. And again, I remember reading I think it was pulled from an article, but it was a quote that I read distance from an article, removed. And it was him talking about how when he showed up for season 2, they told him oh, you're just a bad guy, and you just have to be an asshole. You just have to be an evil vampire. And James Marsters told to himself, and he was if I play it as if I'm just a bad guy, just generic, they're just going to kill me off, and that's going to be the end of it. And I actually do want to stay. I don't want to go out of a job. So he decided, you know what? I'm going to play it differently. Because he is wondering, where's the care? Where's the passion? Where's all these things that actually have meaning? And he was I'm going to bring that into my performance, which is what he did in season 2. And he immediately became a favorite for a lot of people. Because in season 2, the way he played his scenes with Drusilla and with everyone else, you could tell that this guy cared. And that is what he brought to the character by himself. That was a choice on his part. And now it feels at this point in time, and even before seasons 5 and 6, but now this episode specifically, it feels like the show is okay, do your thing. Do the I care so goddamn much thing. That is the thing that you do. You're really good at it. Just go for it, man. And that final entire sequence just felt like that. It felt like you could feel his pain. And that's just because the actor is so fucking good at it. A different actor doesn't work. This character doesn't work if it's a different person. Just straight up, I don't think it would. So I do have to keep giving credit to James Marsters. Amazing performance. Okay, anything else? I mean, there's a lot to say about Spike. Spike just fully admitted that he heard the ghosts taking a hold of him or whatever that are near the Hellmouth, because that's where he was living there. And I don't know to what degree or to not what or not any of that is true or isn't, because so much of Spike was cagey in this episode because he didn't want people to figure him out. He didn't want to be vulnerable like that, and he wanted to put on a performance to be normal, and he couldn't. But it feels like Spike is tapping into something else, just like Buffy is. And I guess let's talk about that. Buffy is tapping to something else in her dreams. She tapped to a German woman dying and saying something below. And the episode kind of baits you into thinking that it's actually something really important happening. And it's actually just a worm who's actually just a dude. But Buffy is getting her Slayer prophetic messages and stuff that we haven't gotten in a while, actually. Like, it has been a while since we got any of that, but we have seen it happen before. It just felt weird to me because I'm like, wait, is Buffy Cordelia now? But then I'm like, wait, Buffy did have, like, prophetic, like, dreams and stuff before. It's just that I've gotten used to that the only person that is actually a prophet is Cordelia, an angel. But sure, Buffy is sensing that something's coming in the same way that everybody feels that something's coming. Even Spike. And Spike approaches us being like, hey, something's coming and I can feel it. Everybody can feel it. So, like, you need me for something? And again, I did say this already, but, like, the fact that Spike is approaching them being a normal guy for once in his life, but he's only pretending to be normal, and he's actually losing his goddamn mind, and that is the person that he is now. Like, he lied. He was like, you know, I was losing my mind because, you know, I was at the basement of the Hellmouth and he was actually fucking with my head. But then it turns out that his head is just actually not right. And he was pretending to be cool, but he's actually not, because he's losing it because of the fact that he has a soul. But like, here's the other thing that I wanted to talk about. And then I kind of kicked the can and started talking about other shit because it was more important at the end. But when I actually do appreciate that when Spike and Buffy are investigating this, like, worm thing, and Spike is like, hold the torch for me, and gave her the flashlight, Buffy has a moment of, like, she's gonna grab it, and then she flashes back to seeing red and that bathroom scene, and she just flinches back and she's like, no. And I like that because we're actually addressing the severity of what that was, which is something that I felt weird previous episode, because in episode 1, when Buffy sees Spike in the basement, Buffy doesn't feel like, fuck this guy. She actually feels comfortable enough to be in the same room and just not address anything about it. It's just like, oh, Spike's here for some reason. And then she's weirded off by his vibe, but not by their history. And I feel like she should have been. And I like that in this episode, she actually is. In that moment when she is gonna grab the flashlight, she's like, no. Like, she doesn't want to touch him. And I like that because it actually addresses the severity of that. And it's something that also highlights for me that, again, something that Spike is doing in this episode that's very much not cool, is very fucked up, is not addressing what happened in Seeing Red. He's not. He's pretending that everything's cool. He's pretending that he's cool, and he's just kind of hoping that we're both just gonna move on past it. And he does say, like, you know, like, what can I say? I could say, I'm sorry. I could say, forgive me, but, like, I don't want forgiveness because, like, there's nothing I could say for that, you know? And he's right in doing so, but you're also simultaneously inserting yourself into Buffy's life, which, if you understood how she feels about what happened, you wouldn't do that. So you're still putting yourself and your wants above her feelings on some level, which is selfish and fucked up, even if you have a soul now. And the fact that we're not even talking about it, but it is something that very much happened, and you can see it in Buffy's reaction and the way she flinches, is something that it's like the show is highlighting the severity of it, and Spike is actually dismissing it until she brings it up. So that's something that I noticed and I didn't like. But then as the episode developed, I'm like, wait, this version of Spike is a facade. Like, it's not real. Which is why, like, at the end of the episode, like, fully recontextualizes everything about Spike that we've seen prior in the episode, which is fascinating. Because, like, there's also that moment where, like, it feels like Spike just fully accepts that he's Buffy's sex slave. And then Buffy's like, no, what are you doing? And then Spike, like, lashes out. But it's like, it felt like in that moment, Spike was like, right, this is what I am. I'm just mean. Which is sad. And again, that doesn't help his mental state about everything else that is occurring. So it's like a cacophony of a bunch of shit that just, like, it creates this, like, perfect mess that I feel so weird about, because it's just such a weird situation. But anyway, what was I saying before all of this? Before I delve back into Spike shit. Buffy and Spike seem to be noticing. I mean, a lot of people seem to be noticing that something's coming, and it's just very ominous, but, like, I can't really have anything to work with right now other than what we saw at the end of the previous episode. But, like, again, I speculated on that already, and I don't know what else to add to that. So I guess I'll stop there. So we got some Anya and Sander today, and Anya seems to maybe be maybe she's gonna be in some kind of trouble with her superiors for reversing her punishment. But that's gonna happen in the future. So we have set that up for later, but we don't know where that's gonna go immediately right now. But Sanders seemed like he was okay with the idea of dating again, which I don't know if I support you on that, my guy. I don't know about that one. Because if, like, it feels to me like you have some shit to work through, and I don't know if you've done the work yet. Also, making moves on a woman who lost her dog tonight feels not cool. I mean, she seemed like she was super down for it. She was also making moves, so like, I don't know. Good for her, I guess. But like, to me, it felt like I wasn't really fully behind Sander in that one. Like, I don't know. Like, I want to see Sander develop. And I have seen the ways in which we have fully acknowledged the ways in which he could develop, and that hasn't happened yet. So like I'm hoping that he gets to like get better in the way of like not necessarily jumping into our relationship, but actually acknowledging your shortcomings by maybe analyzing your prior relationship. Because there was this moment in which Sander was like, you know, at a certain point you have to stop blaming me for everything, and it's like, I mean, on some level, I guess you're right. Because it's not Sanders' fault that she is like doing all this shit for a bunch of people, and that she's not meeting her work quota or whatever. But on some level, it is his fault because like on some, like, you have really fucked this woman up, and you have to kind of own up to that. And I think he has, but he hasn't told her that necessarily. I think on some level he has internally, but he hasn't really had a conversation with Anya in which he actually gets to be honest about it, which tells me that he hasn't fully gotten there yet though. So that's kind of where I'm at on Sander right now. And on Anya just hasn't had a closure yet, it seems like, and I wish she could. and that's something that Sander needs to probably do. But at least seeing Anya here and seeing that Anya, we're setting stuff for Anya in the future, so it tells me that Anya is going to be a character that we're going to continuously focus on some level. So that's good. I'm happy about that. I'm happy that we're going to get to see how the Anya situation goes, because I want to see that. We're not going to fully abandon Anya. Anya's going to stick around, so that's good. Okay, so I guess one last thing, something that I thought about just now. Again, I'm sorry, but we're going back to Spike. I mean, I think this episode is mostly just Spike and Buffy, to be honest with you. Like, the Sander and Anya thing is cool, but like, I feel like it's mostly Buffy and Spike here. Something I'm thinking about Spike, and I might be reading too much into this, but something that I'm looking at Spike right now is that Spike might be struggling with like a crisis of identity, honestly, like an identity crisis, because we see a version of Spike in which he's losing his mind, previous episode. Then we'll see a version of Spike in which he's completely chill and down to earth and helpful whenever he comes to Buffy's house. And he's trying to have normal conversations, he's trying to be helpful, and he's mostly succeeding until the topic of conversation of the things that happened in the past comes through, and he doesn't want to engage with it. But it's mostly okay. But when the scene at the Bronze happens, in which Anya interrogates him about getting his soul back, and he doesn't want her to say it because he doesn't want people to know that he has his soul back, he reacts by punching her and telling her to shut up. And he like doubles down on it too. Like, he punches her and then he gets on top of her and is like, shut up, like, don't say it or whatever. And I did say earlier that it feels like a almost like childish reaction of like a 5-year-old child being like, you know, I'm gonna tell your secret. And it's like, no, shut up, don't. And it's like, when you're a child that makes sense, but as an adult it's like, that's just bad behavior. That's abusive, actually, and how you handle that by just punching people. But like, he just got his soul back like 6 months ago, so I don't know to what degree I can give a pass on that. But on another level, because like after that, then he actually like kind of owns up to his bad persona. Like, he pulls out his like vampire face. He's ready to throw hands. And like, what is the thing that he said? He essentially tells Buffy like, you know, it was really fun to see you try to figure me out. Like he was manipulating her the whole time. And I did say earlier that on some level he has, because that was a character that he was putting on. However, we also know that person, that version of Spike at the Bronze, being evil and shit, pulling his vampire face and saying that, and punching and willing to fight or whatever, we also know that that version of him is also a character he's putting on, because we watched the end of the episode and the beginning and the prior episode. So I'm looking at that, and now I'm thinking about it, and I'm like, is he having an identity crisis too? Like, is he looking at himself and not recognizing who he is because he can't fully get a grasp on who he is? Because he has been a different person for a long time. Makes sense. And he doesn't fully know where his morality lies. He doesn't fully know what's right and what is wrong, but he can feel about it. That kind of makes sense. The way he reacts about things maybe makes sense and maybe doesn't, and he doesn't have a full grasp on how to control it or whether he knows if it makes sense or doesn't. I think that would make sense. So like, I'm looking at it and I'm like, is Spike just broken in a way in which like not even he knows who he is anymore? Like, I don't, and he doesn't, and nobody knows. He's just kind of playing roles, whatever fits in a situation. And given we only have like one episode to go by, which is this one, but if that continues to be the case in the future, like that would be very interesting to expand on. That'd be very interesting to think about. If in the future he just has a hard time figuring out who himself is because he doesn't know who himself is. Like, he just doesn't. He just has a lot of emotions and a lot of reactions and a lot of thoughts and a lot of feelings, and it all comes out, and he doesn't fully know what any of it means or what to do with any of it. He just wants to rest, which again, is kind of sad in its own way. It's very pitiful, and I don't know what to do with it, and I don't think neither does Buffy. So that's kind of where I'm at with Spike. So I will say though that I feel very good about this episode, because this episode actually gave me something that I feel is something I needed. Because when season 6 ended, I watched Seeing Red, and in my head I was like, I don't know what to do with this thing about Spike. I just kind of want to kill him right now. I just want to die. I just don't want to look at him anymore. You know, I felt that way emotionally, and I don't blame anyone who feels that way, because I get you. That is the accurate reaction to have to Seeing Red. But during the Buffy cast videos, when I was going back and talking about characters and stuff, when every time I wanted to talk about Spike, in my head I was like, I don't know what to do with that, because like whatever happened with Spike, it didn't have a resolution. It was just like, Spike did this to Buffy. He attempted to rape her. Awful. We can all agree on that. And then that didn't go anywhere. He just left. And then he got his soul back. Okay, we can see how A goes to B, but I don't know where it goes after that. And I said, I need to see what happens in season 7 before I can, like, know how I feel about this. All I have is the horrible scene in Seeing Red that made me feel like shit. But from a storytelling perspective, like, I don't know where that goes. So I needed to see more before I can make, like, a real assessment on it. And having seen this episode, I feel pretty good about it. Because it feels like we're fully diving deep into breaking Spike. Fully. This guy is going through a lot, to the point that he's no longer even the same guy. And that is very fascinating, and I think it really plays to James Masters' strengths as an actor. And I think it's working really well right now in this episode. So I'm really looking forward to more of this. I mean, I don't know to what degree I want to deal with more Spike, but right now this was very good. So if it's gonna be more like this, then I'm happy. I'm happy to see that, because I would like to see more Spike exploration and development if it goes in this direction of like, yeah, this is just broken and fucked up and very distressing and kind of sad, and I don't know what to do with it, which is actually something I like. It's something I actually really like. A lot of people might not, but I do. I actually do like seeing this man suffer. Not in a sadistic way, but in a like, that is a very interesting, because we're actually making this character be something. All of that bullshit that happened in Seeing Red, that wasn't for nothing. It was for this. Actually, it goes somewhere. And I like it right now. So I'm interested to see where it goes from here. Because right now it's good. Right now I like it. And it makes me feel better about what I had to watch before. Because it actually does have, like, it's not like some fucked up shit happened and it was just fucked up shit happening for the sake of it. It's like, no. It actually goes somewhere. That feels good. And it's not like I doubted that it wouldn't go anywhere. But again, like I said, when I was thinking about Spike in season 6, I was like, I don't know where this goes, so I can't say anything yet. But now I'm finally getting answers, and I feel good about it. So yeah, I think that's all I have to say on this episode, which I probably said a lot. I don't know. I started and finished the recording like 7 times because of the rain. So I just kept restarting the same recording session. So I'm sorry about that. But I don't know. It probably looks good on the editing. But if there is some bad audio quality on the microphone, like more than usual, it might be because of the rain. Because I'm going to have the noise cancel that. And that lowers the quality usually. Anyway, that's going to be it for this episode of Buffy. Thank you so much for tuning in for this one. See you next time. Bye. But if you would like to watch the next couple episodes, the next 2 of Buffy the Vampire Slayer in early access, you can do it or at the Patreon. You can watch full-length reactions as well, into watch-alongs as well. But yeah, support the channel. Check out the link in the video below. Social media, cool stuff. See you next time. Bye-bye. Take care.